it's Leslie with the Plaid Poodle, and today I've got a fun little Halloween lantern project. You've probably, or you may have seen some of these lanterns around the Pinterest boards or YouTube videos, and so this is my take on it. I have made some little windows, and I've put a little flameless candle for the inside. Probably cannot see the flickering light. I'll try and do some magic later just so that you can see how much fun that is. But I had these in a craft fair that I recently participated in, and they were very popular and so cute. So I'm going to show you how I made the little Halloween lanterns. You first need a piece of cardstock 8.5 by 6 inches and a simply scored tool. And then on the 8.5 inch side, I've got the long side, the 8.5 inch side. You're going to want to score that at 2 with your scoring tool, 4, 6, and 8. Then turn it 45 degrees, and on the 6 inch side, score at 1/4 inch. Go a little slower on this one because it's longer and I don't want to jump a track. 1/4 inch, 7/8 inch, which is the notch right before 1 inch, 1.5 inches, and then 4.5 inches. And that's all the scoring. And I will have this all up on my blog too if you miss it. I'll have all the measurements and the scoring over there. Now we're going to do a little trimming. This is the top of the lantern. These 3 horizontal score lines are going to make the little, I don't know what you call it, top of the lantern. So we're going to trim out this little bit right here. I'm going to leave that little tab to tuck in later. You'll see what I'm talking about when we get to that part. And then we're also going to trim off this little bottom 1/2 inch tab. And this is the bottom of our lantern, so trim up on the vertical score lines just to meet that first horizontal score line. And then these are going to tuck in. These are the bottom of our lantern, so I'm going to just shim a little off of these tabs. Sometimes by doing that, you make it just a little easier to square it up if you're making boxes or such. So I'm just trimming those tabs a little bit. Okay, that is all this trimming we're going to do. Now you're going to want to fold on all these score lines and burnish with your bone folder. And on the top, we're going to fold in and then out. Sometimes they call that a mountain fold because it makes like a little mountain. Does that make sense? So we're going to fold in and then out, and then I'm going to fold this little tiny 1/4 inch section back under. That's just going to give us a nice finished edge on the top of our lantern. Okay, now we're going to punch these divots, and to do that I'm going to use the envelope punch board. And on this mountain fold is what you're going to want to punch on. So fold everything under and then line up this far left-hand edge right in the center of that. Insert it in your, and sometimes it's a little hard because you've got double layer, but just insert it in there right in the middle of this punch board. Line it up with the top, punch, and slide it over and line up the next score line right in the middle there. Punch. We're going to do it with that score line, this score line, and then this very last edge. Just line it up in the middle of your punch board right there and punch. And that's all the punching we're going to do. And it'll all make sense when we kind of start putting it together. Now, to cut your little lantern holes, we're using some dies from the layering ovals. I started to say layering circles. And I'm using the, let's see, on my scallop die, I'm using the third to the smallest, so 1, 2, 3. And on my just my straight edge oval, I'm using, let's not take the time to count it, but like I said, I will have that information on my blog. We're going to use that one later. Excuse me, we're going to use the scallop one later. But first we want to cut with our Big Shot the window. So I'm folding this end over and I'm going to cut through 2 layers. It helps for them to be even, centered. I'm going to use this little post-it note to hold my die in place, and then get my Big Shot up here. Make sure that's in the camera. Since it is 6 inches wide, we have to, it's going to just fit. Okay, and I'm going to run it once through and then back, and maybe one more time, just because I'm going through more than one layer. It's probably a little overkill, but there we go. Now, for these two, I'm going to fold them in half. I'm going to bring this one over here. I'm going to move this so you can see better. So all of my holes are in the same spot, centered. Did you see how I folded that over? So I folded it in half. I need to cut the oval there. I'm going to fold this back piece back. Then I can use this as my guide for my die and stick that in the open space, and then we can run that back through. Whoops. We need a plate on top and a plate on bottom. Like I said, I'm going to go back and forth a couple of times just because I've got more than one layer of cardstock in the Big Shot. Okay, now we have the 4 windows. So I'm going to take some vellum on the inside, and the vellum measures 1 3/4 by 2 1/2. and I'm going to adhere this vellum to all 4 of those windows on the inside. I'm just going to take a little, that was probably too much, a little of this multi-purpose liquid glue. I'm going to use it for the project to hold the lantern together. So I could have put the glue on the vellum, but I wanted to make sure that it wasn't. This is the inside, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. Now, to frame out the windows or the glass, we need to cut out, and this is where that other oval die comes in. We're going to cut out 4 of these scallop frames, and I use the same oval die and then the scallop die, and it fits right inside there. And once again, even though I'm using my magnetic platform on my Big Shot, I'm going to use a little bit of a Post-it note just to keep my die, that center die, from moving, shifting on me. And while I'm at it, the witch's hat, in fact, we can cut it out when we cut the kitty cat out, so we'll just do that all at once. So we are using the Big Shot a little bit today. Okay, I just wanted you guys to see how I got that frame. I used those 2 dies from the Layering Ovals framelits. They make great frames, hence the name framelits. Now we're going to adhere, and I cut 3 out ahead of time just to save us time. There is the windows. Now we can assemble the box, or it is a box basically, but you're going to want to fold this tiny 1/4 inch section over and run your glue up to this tab. You don't want to put the adhesive on the tab. And actually you want to leave it off of here a little bit, because we are going to tuck that tab. I'm going to rub this off real quick. We're going to tuck that tab right in there when we assemble the box, which I will show you in 1 second. Doesn't take that long to assemble these, so I'm going to leave that a little loose because we're going to tuck this little tab right through there, and it's going to give it a really finished look. Okay, now we're going to assemble the lantern. So I'm going to put a little of that adhesive on this little tab, fold it in, and we should be able to just fold it in half. Now we can kind of stick our tab in there. See, there's the tab, and I'm putting it right in there. You might want to come back later with a little adhesive, but I think there's enough still on there. Decide where the front of your lantern is. I always like to do the side that does not have the crease, so this is going to be the front. So we will glue the front in, the front tab in last. Set your lantern down there and make sure everything's nice and squared up. And yeah, the tab is coming out a little bit, so I am going to just put a couple little drops of glue on that tab and then slide it in there. See, that's where the tab slid in. Nice, and now it's nice and finished. Okay. So this is the front. We can kind of work that so that it looks like a little lantern. It has a little bit of dimension. And we're going to add a handle, which this is 1/4 of an inch times 6.5, and then just curl it a little bit with the bone folder. And I'm going to use the liquid glue since I have it out, but you could use a mini glue dot. And we're just going to glue it to the inside of the lantern. And they hold up really nicely. I mean, this one's been to a craft fair and back a couple of times. So once you get them all assembled and you use that multi-purpose liquid glue. Okay, so that's your lantern. It's put together. Now we're just going to decorate it a little bit up. And what I did on this one is I cut out a hat, these witches hats from the Toil and Trouble cardstock. The cauldron framelets fit perfectly. So I cut a little hat out of there. So we will get ready to do that. Once again, I'm going to use my Post-it note. This little kitty is cut out of the designer series paper as well, but I have used all the kitties, so we are going to stamp a kitty for ours tonight or today or whatever day it is. So I'm using Memento ink. We wanted to do a little stamping anyway, right? I'm going to stamp the little kitty with Memento ink, and then the Trick or Treat again with Memento ink. And then I'm going to color these with some light basic black. I want my little kitty to be black for the most part. I'm going to try and color this without getting my head right in the camera. With the Stampin' Blends, I'm using the light basic black, because you know you need a black cat at Halloween, right? I love this little cat. I think he looks like, or she, like a cat on Bewitched. If you're old enough to remember Bewitched. I just have to watch out for her eyes. I'm not going to do any fancy shading. I'm just coloring her in. And then I'm going to take some light smoky slate and color her tummy. I missed one of her little legs. There we go. And then I'm taking some dark flirty flamingo for her nose and her ears. Now we're going to cut those out with our Big Shot, the cat and the little hat. I'm going to go ahead and cut out my sentiment. And again, I'm going to use the Post-it note, even though I am using the magnetic platform, just because I'm kind of doing this on the fly in front of the camera, so I'm moving the Big Shot quite a bit. So we're going to place the hat and the cat and the hat on there. You only have to roll that through once. There's the little kitty. There's the little hat. So cute. Okay, to put the hat on, I think I used a little Stampin' Dimensional. I'm going to use a little mini dimensional. To put both of them on. So cute. And then the hat, I think we can just do the regular sized dimensional. Just stick that on there. And then for the trick or treat, I just cut each of the words out. Might have to stamp this once more to get that little tiny oar off of there. Okay, that's the lantern, guys. I don't think it took us that long, did it? I hope not. Didn't seem like it took very long. I think they're adorable. Then you can take the little flameless candles and the washi tape from Pick a Pattern. Is the perfect size. I think you can get these at the Dollar Tree in packs of 4. I think I've seen them there. I think you can get them most anywhere. Amazon has them. There. So even your candle's decorated. You turn that on, put it in there. I'm not sure. Let's see if I turn the lights out, guys, if it'll pick that flame up. So we'll try an experiment. So that's pretty cool. I hope you enjoyed the project today. If you did, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, check out my blog, theplaidpoodle.com, for more ideas and inspiration for paper crafting. Thanks a lot and happy Halloween. Bye-bye.